Sometimes the information we have won't be complete. Sometimes the decisions we make won't lead us to where we desire to go, and we make changes and we navigate and pivot and so on. But we have to decide. On this episode of A Call to Leadership, I asked the really important and maybe even difficult question: could we be too certain? Could we have a certainty addiction? And what that does is it creates another question: is, are we holding on to too many things that perhaps we can loosen up a bit so that we can grow and learn from others? Well, I've invited someone who's got such a depth of thought leadership in this area, Jeremy Smith, to join me in a conversation about this very important subject. I'm Dr. Nate Sala, and this is A Call to Leadership. Hello, my friend, and welcome to this Friday episode of A Call to Leadership. I am your host, Dr. Nate Sala, and every Friday we cover one tool for your leadership tool belt, one aspect of your leadership that we want to magnify and elevate and focus on for the entire following week to integrate into your action so that you have an opportunity to utilize that particular goal, that particular characteristic throughout your leadership journey, so that you're not just listening to a podcast and thinking, wow, some of those things I remember were cool or they made me feel good, but I don't really have the recall or the ability to exercise and take action with that tool later. So the way I design these is for you, the listener, to just have one piece that you can hold on to and own and grow in. And so that's the hope for our time today. They're just you and I, and we just hang out in this space. So what are we talking about today? Well, we're closing out our 5-part series on the big question we asked: are leaders born or made? And in answering that question, we're identifying different traits, different characteristics that are considered essential for effective leadership. We talked about integrity. We talked about intelligence. We talked about sociability. We talked about self-confidence. And today we talk about determination, the last of the 5. And of course, there are so many characteristics that are involved in leadership. These are just 5. They're not necessarily the top 5 in different contexts. They may be extremely important in some contexts, and in other settings, it may be less important, other ones. And this is all the one of the reasons why I even started this podcast, is because it continues to shape and evolve and share. And it wasn't finite, where if I wrote a paper or if I gave a talk, that is it. It's overdone, closed. But this is an opportunity to continue to grow together. So these 5 are important, and will continue to add more and more to your tool belt every single week. I'm committed to do that for you. And not only that, I'm determined. So let's break it down. So what is determination? Well, determination it's the act of not only coming to a decision, making sure of your position, but it's the ability you continue to press on, no matter how difficult it might be. Determination to succeed, determination to set a purpose and reach it. You think about people in your life, and this might be a situation you've been in as a leader as well, but also as a follower. When someone is indecisive, someone is unable to make a decision, if I should go right, if I should go left, if I should make this choice in my business, in my family, in my life, and I just can't seem to make a decision. That is a quality that is not associated with effective leadership. Effective leaders, we have to make a decision, and we make decisions based on the information we have at the time. And sometimes the information we have won't be complete. Sometimes the decisions we make won't lead us to where we desire to go, and we make changes and we navigate and pivot and so on. But we have to decide. And here's the thing about decisions. Once I decide a certain path, it excludes all other possible paths. You can only go in one direction at a time as a leader. And you say, well, what if you have a lead a staff and different staff members, you send them on different pathways? Right. I get it. But are they going to the same place? Is my mission and my vision directed at them reaching that objective? Because if I'm not, then that means that separate teams are going different places. And you're going to need someone to lead those teams to different places. The bottom line is, as leaders, we have to chart a course for our desired future state, a better future state. And so that's part of this conversation we're going to have today about determination, motivation. It all relates to vision. What is my vision of the future? You say, well, Nate, my vision's not clear. Well, I'm going to encourage you, and I'm even challenge you. You got to clarify your vision. You've got to clarify it. It has to begin to evolve in such a way that it's visualized. That's what vision is, right? You can visualize it. You can see what the better future might look like. And how do we do that? Well, the future is a blank canvas, friend. And it bears repeating. I've said this in other episodes. You might have heard me say this. It's a blank canvas. And we get to participate in authoring what's on that canvas, painting a picture of a better future. So what the world looks like today is not, as a leader, is not as attractive as it can be in the future. And by definition, vision is optimistic. You want your future to be a picture of a better future state. You want it to be a picture of a more desirable future state. What about the future can we solve problems that we're experiencing today or that we foresee to experience coming around the bend? For example, I just read an article recently about Facebook's massive layoffs, and Mark Zuckerberg, his admitting, and and the transparency and authenticity, and I'm glad he did, that he erred because his vision was that Facebook would continue to see massive gains in the coming future after the pandemic. And of course, what happened? We retracted back to some level of activity, whether it was through social media or through just brick and mortar business or whatever the business is. Now, there's some businesses that are still facing higher levels of activity, but social media is beginning to decrease. Same thing with Amazon. I mean, there's massive layoffs. Amazon hasn't laid off anyone yet as of the recording of this podcast, but they are experiencing a huge downturn. So Facebook lays off a number of people. Of course, big in the news, at least currently, is Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter and laying off a significant size of the workforce. But back to Mark Zuckerberg. His vision, he had a clear vision, but that vision didn't materialize, and now he has to make a change. And that's leadership. He owns it. He thought it would go in a certain direction based on the information he had at the time, and now he has to pivot. So the point is that the determination is based on a vision of the future. Now, we might have to make a change, and that change might be painful. I know it's painful when you've got to let people go, when there's a situation that causes you to have to retreat, if you will, in some ways, and regroup. But that's leadership. True leadership, real leadership is decisive. And that decisiveness is based on a very clear focus. And in fact, in leadership studies, it's been said that through all the leadership approaches, a couple of scholars did some research on this, Bowman and Deal, and said that there's two concepts, two areas that show up more than any other. And you probably, when I say this, you're probably going to be like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Number one is vision. Number two is focus. Vision and focus, according to Bowman and Deal, show up more than any other other aspect when you combine them across all the leadership approaches. Why? Because leadership is vision. Vision is the fuel that leaders run on. It's the indispensable, by the way, the indispensable fuel. And focus is that clarity of going forward against all odds to reach that vision. As soon as we're unfocused, we can't see. Think about a camera. Think about when, of course, you've got your camera phone or a DSLR or whatever the camera looks like. When it's out of focus, very difficult to make decisions on what is in front of you, right? You've got to dial it in, put it in focus. In fact, my Zoom camera that I use for recording, sometimes it'll get out of focus, and I'll have to go backwards, come frontwards, put my hand in front of it, just so I can see myself, to make sure that you can see me. Because if you can't see me, then there's a disparage. Your vision is impaired. And so one essential critical aspect of us having determination. So if you're in a situation right now where you feel unmotivated, where you feel like you don't have that deep determination, that deep motivation, that deep quality to continue trying to achieve that difficult desire, if you're having trouble having this refusal to be prevented from moving forward, then your vision A, might be clouded. B, it may not be compelling. C, you may have a lack of resources to get you to that vision, i.e., you might not be eating right. You might not be exercising. I found that just by changing my diet and my exercise, man, my level of determination and motivation has changed. You may be in a season or in a moment to where you might not have the individuals around you who will give you encouragement, affirmation, possibly even challenge you. You might be in a situation to where you have all of those things, but just maybe you feel that the timing is not right, and you need to take time to reevaluate and reassess the situation. Any one of those aspects can be true, and then many others. When that happens, we have to take time and reflect rather than deflect. Reflect on our situation and ask, A, is my vision meaningful? Is it compelling to me? Because if your vision is meaningful, I mean like the air you breathe, then it's very difficult to stop you unless you want to give up on life. I mean, I know people who have faced tremendous obstacles, far greater obstacles than I've ever faced, and have this resoluteness of focus and determination to reach their objective. Those are the kind of people who I will stand behind, because I know they will not stop until their last breath. They will not stop. In fact, it reminds me of the movie Matrix and Neo in this movie. This protagonist, one of the other characters, Morpheus, says, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that Neo won't stop until he has his last breath. That's a person who you can get behind if you share in the cause, right? The worthy cause. Remember, when we define leadership is the discovery of, influence toward, and achievement of shared purpose or shared cause, right? Shared place to go. Now, when you are following someone who is so resolute, now you say, well, could you be resolute and be hard-headed and not focus? We're not talking about a resoluteness of action to where you're blind to all of the challenges. You're blind to the advice of wisdom and counsel. We're not talking about that. In fact, determination and resoluteness and motivation are integral with collaboration and communication. So don't think just because, well, I'm determined to do this, then, anybody that has an issue with it, you can go, eat an egg. No, it's how do we work together to overcome every possible obstacle in this pathway. I know from my own journey, I haven't always done that, right? Sometimes I've just gone, it's like ready, fire, aim, right? And someone listening, I know you're saying, yeah, that's me too, Nate. I've been so driven that I've driven past those who can help me in my journey. And I can tell you, especially in my own business and my businesses, sometimes I've made decisions, and sometimes maybe I've made those decisions out of fear and been really decisive. And what's the fear? The fear is maybe that I'll get so much pushback that it will demotivate me. But that fear, I think, is unfounded, because if your desire is to reach that future, and that future is so incredibly compelling to you, first, that's the first piece, right? Find a compelling purpose, something that is worthy, that you know that when you reach that end state, that the satisfaction level, because you've done something, dare I say, good, worthy, that will affect positive change, impact the human condition in such a way that it propels us forward, leads us to progress. I mean, that's leadership. When you've assimilated that into your heart, into your mind, into your spirit, then it's a matter of collaborating with others who will help us to reach that state. So assessing, who do I have around me? Make a list. 5 people around me who share that vision so amazingly that they'll help me and I'll help them along that journey. And sometimes those will be difficult conversations, because your leadership might have to pivot, might have to move. Maybe there's an iceberg in front of you. Maybe you need to go around that iceberg so that you don't have an issue with breaching the integrity of the hull of your leadership. We talked about integrity just in a few episodes ago. How about this? A novel idea. Admit when we're wrong, when we've set our sails and perhaps we've had to make a change because maybe our vision was not clear. You've got to be very clear about what you want to reach, where you want to go, what you want to accomplish. You've got to know it. But not only what, why. The why is what pulls us, right? It pulls us. And for example, with this podcast, it's a lot of work. In fact, it's more work than I thought it was going to be. I got started with this podcast because I wanted to go from one to many. I knew that I couldn't have the impact that I desired through just one-on-ones. I do a lot of consulting. I do a lot of leadership development and coaching, and I have individual conversations. And I see change and I see people growing. But I knew that there had to be another way through technology to be able to share content and meaningful messages with a greater audience. And so I had a coach who said, "Hey, why don't you just start a podcast? Have fun." I said, "Okay, I can do that. I can do that." And the why was that there are people like you who need to get the right tools so that they can aim for greatness, they can aim for their potential, and they could learn how to serve others in profound ways. And I knew that you can create an irresistible offer for your life that every day when you wake up, it will be irresistible. Your day will be irresistible. Shape it, form it, develop it, and that would be contagious. And your leadership will begin to flourish. And that flourishing will then perpetuate. And you can access this anytime, indefinitely, as long as this is available for you, for the next generation. I think of my own son. I think one day I'll be gone. And on a personal level, he'll have all of these episodes to reference. I wish that I could see more of my dad before he passed. I wish I could hear more of his voice. I could see more of his ideas and how he desired to see other people be well. And so that's a why, friend, and that's a very compelling why. So all this work that I do, it's so worth it. I know it. I know it, and I know I can achieve it. That's the second part. Be very clear about what you want to accomplish and why. Why? It's easy for me. It's a no-brainer at that point, because I will make the sacrifice. I will do what it takes. I will clear my calendar to spend time with you because it's so deeply important to me. And then, number 2, I've got to believe I can achieve it with the help of others. Of course, I can't do this on my own. I've got great teams. I've got a great production team. I've got great mentors, great colleagues who continue to counsel me and coach me and advise me, challenge me, correct me, give me the feedback I need to move forward. And then 3, the third part. Okay, so 1, I've got to be clear about it, right? And I've got to know why. 2, I've got to believe I can achieve it, right? And 3, I have to take the steps day by day by day. It's not, oh, wow, I want to have 1 million downloads on this podcast. Oh my goodness, that's such a huge task. No, it's what do I do today? Yes, I want to see myself out there affecting change on a level that is wherever it takes us, right? You can quantify it. You can use data. But today, what am I doing today to make that vision real? Sometimes tomorrow's not guaranteed. Every moment someone is having their unexpected last moment. It's true. Everywhere just think about it. For every moment, someone is unexpectedly having their last moment. And this could be my last moment. I don't know. But at some point, that statement will be true for every one of us. So if tomorrow's not guaranteed, but I know as long as I have breath to breathe, that I will progress. I will move forward. No matter what the challenges are, no matter what the obstacles are. Yes, there are days when the challenges feel daunting, overwhelming. There are days when I am full of energy and vigor. It's not that life is going to be, exactly the same every single day. There's ebbs and flows, but what is my conviction? What is my purpose? What is my value, right? Focus on that rather than the negative considerations, right? Because I have to have this determination that galvanizes me, because then others will bind around me and we will bind together to reach that state. Why? Because it's important to all of us, because we share in that purpose. And that's a little bit how determination, motivation, vision, focus work together to produce what? Effective leadership. Because you know what's going to happen? You're going to get there. You're going to reach that better future state. It's not going to be overnight. There may be twists and turns. There may be headaches. There may be sleepless nights. I know I've had them, many of them. I've had, and I've seen texts from partners and folks in my camp who 3:30 in the morning, hey, you're up early. Man, I couldn't sleep. Sometimes it's because I'm facing a major challenge or struggle. Sometimes I'm so excited about this amazing future, I just can't sleep. Sometimes that's when I do my best work. Sometimes I have to retreat. I spend time away. I spend time on a trip. Some of the best ideas I've had have been either after a workout, get those, get the blood flowing and the endorphins and whatnot. Sometimes it's been on a trip. I've found that it takes me about 8 days of being away before I can really have a new sense of clarity for revising or for adapting or improving on my vision. You may be different, but I can tell you this, that when I get out of all the noise, when I get out of the routine, that I find that I can calm my spirit, I can calm my mind, and I can really begin to identify, oh, wow, the creativeness, the curiosity begins to emerge again, because creativity and curiosity are other aspects of leadership that I believe are essential, especially from a learning perspective. And again, there's lots and lots. We're going to go through all of these wonderful tools week by week together. But today is your day to focus on determination as a leader. And over the next week, what is impeding my determination? Is my vision clear about what I want to accomplish? If it's not clear, spend some time refining it, digging deep in the spirit and the soul, and begin to believe it, own it, bind others around you to make it real. Well, friend, that's our time. So glad you joined me for this five-part series on vision and leadership, and how we go from a sense of integrity, understand where our intelligences are, list our level of social abilities, have the self-confidence and the determination to finish strong. That's it, my friend. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm Dr. Nate Sala, and this is A Call to Leadership.